Hi, everybody. Thank you for coming out tonight. This is an exciting night for our two capstone artists. My name is Ben Lunston. I'm a media arts professor. This is actually my first time doing a capstone, so that's exciting. I know Mandy likes it. Mandy likes being on that side, which is understandable. I'm really excited. This has been a big undertaking for both of these young ladies. Capstone is kind of the culmination of what our students have learned across 4 years. They get an opportunity to make basically whatever they want. A lot of our capstone students decide to make short films, which these two have done tonight. So what you're looking at is a year plus for some of them, planning, prepping, pre-production, writing, rewriting, working on set, and then countless hours spent editing and then re-editing and then taking lots of notes and then changing things again. So without further ado, I just want to kind of get started tonight. We'll watch the short films, and then afterwards there'll be a discussion, and I encourage you all to ask a lot of really great questions. So thank you for coming tonight, and let's start the show. Woo!
My name is Sophia Gernander, and this is my film, Join the Conversation. Making a film for my final capstone project was not my first choice. However, while I was struggling to come up with an idea, I thought about my stressful social media experience during the COVID-19 pandemic. This had affected my entire life, and as it turned out, it impacted a lot of other people as well. I decided to make a film that was in some way about this, because not only would it be accessible to a wider audience, it was also something that I had a personal stake in. Join the Conversation tells the story of a young woman who is struggling with the death of her mother and finds escape in a virtual app that seems designed to cater to everything she wants, but like everything in life, there's a catch. This film takes a lot of inspiration from reality-bending TV shows and movies, namely The Good Place and Black Mirror. The Good Place, for those who haven't seen it, is about a woman who dies and is placed in heaven, but soon discovers not only that she isn't supposed to be there, but that everything in the good place is too good to be true. The show Black Mirror was recommended to me by Amanda Quist during the writing stage. It's about the ethical ramifications of possible future technology. I'd first like to thank my cinematographer, Jamie Wells. Jamie, you were with me every step of the way in what was sometimes a grueling filming process, all in order to give me some truly amazing shots. Thank you to my two main actors, Lizzie Othout and Carrie Gernander. Lizzie, with little dialogue and parts, you were absolutely integral to the voice of the film, and you brought Lisa to life exactly the way I had imagined in the script. Carrie, as my sister, you're someone I've worked with before, and obviously I know that your acting is already fantastic, but some of the choices that you made for this film helped it transcend beyond the level I'd anticipated. Thank you both so much. Thank you also to Eva Jacobson, my roommate. Your voice work was a last-minute addition at the end, but it really helped pull the film together. You really embodied the voice at the end of every commercial where 30 symptoms get read off in 5 seconds, and I appreciate you for that. Thank you to Audra Dale, my other roommate and constant writing partner, for sticking with me during many location scout trips, for giving me encouragement when I felt depressed and panicked about being able to get the project done, and also for designing my lovely poster. Thank you to Amanda Quist. You watched me run through idea after idea that first semester that did not work out, and when I told you I wanted to switch my plan halfway through the semester, not only were you patient and encouraging, but you were 100% on board with it from the beginning. Thank you to Ben Lunston, who stuck with me even though we all knew the script I had penned was way too long. You helped cut through the worry I expressed on multiple occasions, and ultimately pushed me to do the best I possibly could. I'm extremely grateful to all of you for helping. This film wouldn't have been finished without you. As difficult as the process was at times, the end result was completely worth it. Now this is Join the Conversation.
The Truly app is a place where dreams come true. Once you order our contacts and connect them to the app on your phone, you'll be transported to a magical town where you can make anything happen. Forget Snapchat, Instagram, and Twitter. It's VR taken a step further. You'll actually feel like you're there.
Hi, are you new here?
I guess so. How'd you know that?
I know pretty much everyone around here. I'm Sarah.
I'm Lisa.
You want to go meet the others?
Sure. How many people live here?
Well, not live, I guess. The real world still exists, but anyway, we can go ahead.
Like,
Anything.
I'd like a strawberry muffin, banana bread, and a bacon and egg sandwich.
That's why I wonder all this wireless stuff. What's going to happen? All these airwaves are banging in.
It's real.
See, what did I tell you?
Lisa, I miss you. I'll catch up with you later. You disappeared so fast last time. I was going to show you around the neighborhood.
You can show me now. Everything's so much. Never mind. What are we gonna do? I've been here for a while, haven't I?
Yeah, well, we don't tend to ask that question too much.
Well, I'm worried about my dad.
Lisa, your dad isn't here. He doesn't get it. That's on him.
Sarah, I like you, but I really care about my dad.
Then tell me what your dad's doing right now. Tell me the last conversation you had with him. See? He doesn't matter anymore.
Doesn't matter? This isn't real, Sarah. None of this is real. And it's been distracting me too long. And I have to go back.
Hello, Lisa.
Sarah? Why am I still in here?
I'm afraid you've just been in a little too long. Oh, don't be sad.
We're going to have so much fun now.
My name is Morgan McLain, and I wrote and directed a short film called Prologue.
Start at the beginning.
When first starting out Capstone last fall, I really only knew one thing. I knew that I wanted to create something that showed myself as an artist. I think that's why I really wanted to create a short film, but also incorporate photography into it. I do believe that photography in itself, the still image, can tell a story. And then I started writing Prologue. Prologue tells the story about a girl that is on the verge of being burnt out, and she goes into this psychological dimension where she becomes her imaginative self, and she has to revisit all the things she hates about herself.
No. No time. Hello, goodbye. I'm late.
The White Rabbit!
Oh, I'm so late. I'm so very, very late.
The girl's favorite hobby in Prologue is to read. This really started out with some inspiration of my own books that I read. The first book that really helped me develop my character would be Bunny by Mona Awad that I read last summer. It's about a girl that is struggling to write her English thesis paper for her senior year, and she comes to realize that she definitely likes her imagination more than people. The next books are an ongoing series by one of my favorite authors, Leigh Bardugo, Ninth House and Hellbent. This series kind of goes off the idea that everything you see and hear is real but not real at the same time, and it's also about altering your imagination to turn it into reality, which I think is really cool. And then really the star of the show that really helped me write Prologue would be Alice in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll. Alice in Wonderland is a great piece of literary nonsense, which means some readers might be able to understand it while others might not. I really like the imagery in this book. I like the idea of a rabbit chasing down time. I really like the idea of going into your imagination and being so terrified but mesmerized by it at the same time. I think it combines the idea of escapism and growth really well. Also, it really captures the idea of growing each day. And yeah, this is truly a great piece of literature. I took inspiration from the animation and live action of Alice in Wonderland. I also took inspiration from the avant-garde filmmaker Maya Deren. I really liked her short films and how you had to break apart each scene to really get the idea across of what she was trying to tell us. I also took inspiration from Edward Scissorhands by Tim Burton. I really liked the theme of Edward Scissorhands. It was played 3 times distinctly throughout the movie. It was played in the beginning, and then the middle or the most climactic scene, and then it was also played at the very end. And then lastly, I took inspiration from La Jetée by Chris Marker. That film really made me 100% sure that I wanted to include still images in my film.
I have an excellent idea. Let's change the subject.
John Logging, I really don't think I could have chose a better narrator for my film. Thank you for not being hesitant when I first asked you and you didn't even know the script at all yet. You were really great to work with, so again, thank you so much. I would like to thank 2 of my best friends, Lexi Hansen and Shelby Karpik. I am so glad that I got to work on yet another project with you guys. Don't really know a lot about the media arts industry at all, but you guys were super passionate about this project of mine, just like you guys have been passionate about my past projects as well. It was really nice working with you guys yet again on another project, and it made set so fun with you guys, and I could not be happier. So thank you. I would like to thank my cinematographer, Santiago Tenorio. You gave Prologue such a beautiful image. You also brought so much energy to set. You kept my actresses in line, so thank you for that. I will never forget the first day of filming in January, and I really liked what you were doing with the camera, so I really could not have found a better cinematographer, so thank you. Next, I would like to thank my editor and sound designer, Alec Lade. You put a lot of hours within the last month on Prologue, and I could really not thank you enough for it. Your hard work has really shown in this film, so again, thank you so much, and I really hope you did not ignore your homework to work on my film, but also thank you for being passionate about this project as much as I am. Thank you also to my grandpa, Randy Jelson. A lot of the set would not have been possible without your handiwork, so I cannot thank you enough. There's a lot of people I could thank for this film, and I could go on for hours, but lastly, I would really like to thank the professors that made this showcase possible. First, I would especially like to thank Denise. I really don't think I would have incorporated photography in my capstone if it wasn't for your photography classes. Then I would like to thank Jason Jasperson, my advisor. You always tell me that I have a very organized skill set, but I feel like if you saw the inside of my head, you would definitely not think that anymore. Then I would like to thank Angie Johnson. You gave me really good feedback on my script, and you really helped me answer the hard questions that I was trying to figure out for this film. Amanda Quist, a lot of the scenes would not have been possible without you, especially the clockroom scene, so I could not thank you enough for that. You truly have a great imagination, and you really helped me along the way. And then I would also like to thank Ben Lunston. You really saw me through all stages of grief throughout the filming process, and you really helped me stay on track. So yeah, thank you guys all so much, and I'm so excited for you guys to all watch Prologue. Thank you all for coming. Enjoy the show.
A typical Monday night for our antagonist, up way too late, lost in her books. Too scared of her own thoughts, and reading is always there for her to take her completely away from her own reality. Takes her completely away from herself. Looks like she's gone down the rabbit hole herself, just like her good friend Alice. Into her own mind she goes, where she has always tried so hard to stay out of. She burned herself away. She knew in the back of her mind that she was doing it to herself. There was really no one else to blame for it. She refused to believe that it would get to this point, never truly listening to herself. She finally has burned herself completely to the ground. She always imagined time as a non-existent thing, late for everything, never turning anything in on time. Deadlines were not real to her. Now time seems to be suffocating her, and she must come to accept that time is very much real and her own deadline is near. She never paid enough attention to her mother. Her mother pushed so hard to try and understand her daughter, but she never let her mother in. She did not want to be an open book to anyone. Little did she know this was not just ruining her, but her mom as well, destroying her mother. She kept her head blank, thinking it was best for her. The only thing our antagonist ever cared to put in her own thoughts were from books, thinking that a non-realistic world would not hurt her as much. Now she is just stuck with herself and her own horrifying imagination.
Mustard, yes, but mustard? Don't let's be silly. Lemon, that's different. That should do it. Look at that.
She had a bad habit of coping with too many late nights in books, trying too hard to get out of the real world. She was damaging herself. Books will always be a part of who she is and what raised her, but reading is different now for her. Reading is a way to grow and not an excuse to escape.
Chapter 1.
For those of you that have never made a short film before, it is an achievement. It's so much work and time and preparation. I was thinking about it, it feels maybe similar to like building a house. There's all the planning, and you have all your little details, and then you have to gather all your materials, and a bunch of people to come together. This is just to like get the thing up, and then when it's built, you have to make it pretty inside, and like it has to be functional. And there's all these really intricate things just to like have a house. And a short film is similar. Like, yeah, you watch a movie, and it takes so much work outside of the 9 minutes that you see. So the hope is we can have a conversation and understand all that work that went into the short films we just watched. So I'm going to kick it off with a question, and then we're going to kind of open it up and get to hear from the two lovely artists. First of all, my question for you two is we kind of prepped you on this, but we were talking, and when you do something like this, you learn a lot about yourself. You both made very personal films. So I want to know what are the biggest lessons you learned about yourself through this process.
I can start.
Okay. Are these on or are they?
Yeah, they're on.
Okay.
I think I learned a lot about myself mostly in the beginning stage, because in the past short films that I've worked on at Bethany, even like, for example, like Red Eye, I didn't do a lot of the writing process. And obviously through my Capstone, you can tell I like to read a lot of books, but I've never like thought about writing. And I've actually learned that I really love the writing process. Like, I think that was my favorite part about thinking about every detail. Before my movie even, like before starting filming, I didn't know how much detail had to go into the script, and I actually really enjoyed that. So I think I found myself as a writer in this process.
I think for me, it would actually be the opposite, because I've done a lot of pre-production stuff. I've done a lot of writing and producing and kind of location scouting, all that kind of stuff, and I haven't been as involved in every bit of the production process, so I think that part of it was the biggest kind of learning moment for me, is kind of figuring out the beats of that and how to schedule shooting dates.
I have more.
Do you have a favorite role that you like in like the pre-production, production, or post? There's like a favorite part that you contributed to?
Again, the writing stage, and then I also just liked being on set and like directing, and like I also really liked the set design. I don't know, I feel like my project was really set heavy, and I really liked working with my grandpa, making a lot of that set, so I also really like that stage.
I think writing I always enjoy, but I think just directing the actors was one of my favorite things that I did, just because like when I could get the moment from them that I really wanted them to get, then, you know, that was kind of a magic moment, so. Yes.
Was it like anything you imagined from the writing process to what you ended up on screen?
Some of it did. There was some things that kind of changed along the way, but then there were some specific shots that were kind of exactly the way I pictured them, which was really nice.
I think through my script and what I pictured was, oh man, I don't even know where to start because like every scene changed. I think everything turned out how I pictured it, but also it comes down to like Alec, my editor. He kind of took what I pictured, I feel like, to like the next level, which was super cool. So yeah.
Can you speak to the collaboration process a little bit and how you brought people in and at different stages and how they helped shape the vision that you had?
Oh yeah, I can. I think it all started out with Capstone class in first semester, and I think, again, this is advice for everybody. If you take screenwriting before your capstone, write your script if you're doing a short film in that class, because you collaborate with so many people in that class right away. And I got so much feedback from the students in that class, from Angie Johnson, and I was also getting feedback from Capstone class on top of it, which was super nice. And then my collaborations, I would say, like during the production stage would be with Santi. He kind of like helped me set up my metal cage because that was the first scene. We were just gonna do a screen test, and he ended up just like taking over the camera, and I was like, hey, instead of me directing in cinematography, do you want to be my cinematographer? And then me and Santi ended up collabing, which was super nice, and I know he really enjoyed it as well to get some more experience. And then I'm trying to think. I collabed.
Alec Lade.
And then Alec Lade, obviously. I asked him way in winter if he'd be my editor, and he said yes. And he didn't even start until, I would say, after spring break he saw some shots, but his main part was like towards that last month of just kind of like, so I got to direct Santi a little bit as well, and I was kind of directing Alec and like reminding him what my script was about, which was super cool.
Yeah, I think Jamie is kind of the first person that comes to mind is I didn't know what the cinematography was going to be because that is not really my area of expertise, and Jamie was willing to do it, and she got brought into the process really early. We went over the script multiple times, and she gave me some really amazing shots out of it that and also gave me some input into the story too. And sort of speaking of, Capstone first semester was really helpful. I remember getting a lot of feedback like every day from Amanda and from all the other students in the class. Even the ones who are going to be graduating gave me a lot of really good feedback that semester. And then even in the later stages, you know, when I realized I kind of needed some kind of an ad for the app, and I just kind of asked my friend Eva, this was like a week ago, I was like, can you just come in and record this for 20 minutes? And she wanted to do that. So just kind of reaching out to the right people and not being really afraid to ask for help is a big part of that.
Any surprises?
Yes. A ton.
Yes.
Like, even seeing it on the big screen today for the first time this morning was a surprise. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was like really exciting.
There were so many things that did not go as planned that I kind of had to come up with things on the fly. There were things that happened the day we were supposed to finish shooting, Lizzie, I don't remember what exactly happened, but she injured her knee and the coaches forbade her from doing anything. And so then I just kind of last minute sort of rewrote some things and re-engineered things so that we would be able to finish it without her like walking very much, and which kind of stretched certain things, but you know, it's just kind of last minute crunch to get it done, so.
Oh, I'm trying to think of my biggest surprise because it always came, I feel like, on set day.
Yeah.
I think actually one of my biggest surprises during editing with Alec, the TV shot. I never pictured Alice in Wonderland actually going into the TV. So when Alec first showed me that, I was like, we have to keep that and not just keep it a static screen. So I think that was my biggest surprise.
So how much do you think your, script changed or your film changed from the course of the beginning stages to now the end today? Like, how much do you think it changed? Did it stay the same, or did you go through a lot of revisions to get to this point?
Mine changed majorly because there was about a point halfway in the semester when I kind of realized that certain things weren't getting shot, and I kind of realized, well, you know, because I had thought that I couldn't cut any more out. And then I revisited it, and Audra was a person, my friend Audra, who I kind of talked about with this, and she said, well, why don't you just kind of cut out the things, you know, like that still kind of retain the essence of the film? And so I did that, and it actually worked, you know, even better than the one that I originally had, which was great.
Yeah, I wish I could go. I would have to go back and look at my original script, but I know it's way different and I know the
remember
title
the first
is
draft.
really lame.
There was a lot more narration.
There's a lot more narration. I had my character talking a lot throughout. Also, even like casting, I was gonna go like look for a professional actor. No offense to Shelby and Lexi, but I was like, I kind of actually want to work with I kind of like last time I was like, no, I kind of want to work with my friends again because I wanted it to be, not saying another actor would be fun, but I really wanted to work with my friends again. So that was another big surprise. I wasn't never planning on having them as my actresses until January. I didn't figure that out. I was playing my sister being in the film. That's a whole other story.
Yeah, that is also. Oh, well, and kind of jumping off of that, Carrie was originally, my sister Carrie, who was Sarah, was going to be the protagonist because that's kind of my default for her because I've worked with her a lot. And then I was talking to Amanda about it, and she said, well, why don't you cast Carrie as the antagonist? Nobody's seen her like that before. And then I ended up doing that, and there were moments towards the end that I think would have probably fallen a lot flatter if I hadn't had Carrie doing that, so.
You both introduced your movies. Now that we've seen them, can you comment on the endings? Can you tell us what you intended and why?
Well, this actually changed. I know this changed from what you read because the original one was that she was going to get out, but then there were a lot more people engaged in the app. And that was a little, when I actually started doing it, that was a little more complicated. And I thought also kind of, I don't know, I wanted kind of a smaller cast of characters in the end. And so when I reshaped it to be a little smaller, then it ended up kind of having this thing where she got stuck in there, which ultimately worked a little better. I think that was what I had kind of wanted to do, but I thought having it end negatively would be, you know, I guess too dark or something like that, but I like what came out of it. It's just more of like a warning, I guess, at the end.
So prologue is kind of like, goes off the definition of, prologue is like the beginning of a story. There's a lot of prologues in books you read, and in my movie Prologue, we are watching this girl grow through a moment in her life, because I do believe there's multiple like growth periods in your life, and her saying chapter 1 at the ending kind of implies that she has gone past that first beginning and she's on to the next chapter, so implies that there's more to come for this character. Not another film. I haven't thought of that, but like we saw her
Prologue,
beginning.
the
We
sequel.
don't get to see but it definitely implies that.
By the way, you two are like celebrities to me. Just so you know, I've been watching your face all semester, and now here you are in the flesh. So, can you? Yeah. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
What were some of the problem solving that you guys encountered on set? And what were the ways that you got around issues?
Well, I think the first thing would be when we managed to sort of rework things so that Lizzie didn't have to walk. That was something where it didn't hurt her, but like in the end where they're in the parking lot, which is the parking lot outside my apartment, and Carrie's kind of running. The original idea was for them both to kind of be doing that, but then obviously Lizzie couldn't run, so we just started Carrie doing it like she was catching up, and then I just cut it far enough in so it didn't look weird. But just sort of changing things to accommodate for that was a lot of what I did towards the end.
A lot of my problem solving, I realized was a lot through screen testing first, especially for like that blood scene. If you saw the screen test, it was horrible. You could like see saran wrap on the floor. It was so bad. The audio was also terrible for that one. I think, yeah, screen testing can solve a lot of your problems. My also biggest problem was set design. I think another big advice to take for upcoming Capstone people is to not lower your standards because it's a student film. My biggest problem I had to solve was the clock room scene. I remember telling Amanda, I can't possibly buy 1,000 clocks. And then she was like, well, we have After Effects. You can just make one. So, yeah, I think that was definitely a big problem solver.
How long are the films?
9 minutes, both of them, I think.
8:48.
Yeah, mine's 9:16.
Is that on purpose?
No.
Yes.
Am I supposed to say yes to that?
I had about a goal for a 10-minute movie, so mine was pretty much on
Mine
track.
was, yeah, I wanted to be under 12 for film festivals.
Wasn't
typically.
your original idea was like 5 pages or something like that?
Yeah, my original idea was only like 5. It was only going to be 5 minutes, so definitely grew from there.
Is this the first time you both have been like the director of a project? 'Cause a lot of times throughout the program you can take on various roles. Is this the first time you've led a project like this? And then if it is, what lessons have you learned through being the person at the helm?
I directed something freshman year, but it's bad and will never see the light of day. So I don't count that one.
Did you do education? No, we're not education.
No,
Sorry, that's Alex.
detention. I forgot about detention.
Same
Yes,
thing.
yes, I did direct detention, but I wasn't as involved in the writing process. That one was really fun. That one was a lot of fun, and that one was again working with these two actors who kind of play off of each other really nicely.
Yeah, I think for longer than a minute film, Red Eye, I did participate in 2 Red Eyes, and I was the cinematographer for both. I didn't really pay attention to the script. I was more looking at shot lists and a little bit of the writing stage I was there for, but not a ton. So yeah, this is my first time directing, and I definitely challenged myself because again, I got people that didn't know the field a lot. So mostly when you film, you shoot, you create a shot list and it's normally not in order, but to make it, I had to kind of accommodate to them and I had to shoot in order because otherwise they would get very confused. So that was a little different, but I really did like directing. Like I said, Santi had to keep them in line a lot. They laughed a ton. There was so many shots of them laughing, especially when we had to throw a sugar glass at Lexi during the TV scene. We couldn't even use her scream sound because her scream has laughter in it. Like it's actually, her scream is actually her laughing, so yeah. But I really liked directing. I thought it was cool, kind of taking control of like, even not just directing. I didn't even just direct Lexi and Shelby, also Santi, like, or like even Alec, like he kind of was like, oh, I don't know, does this look good? And I was like, no, I'm kidding. No, I think I really did like the directing. It was fun.
Who hasn't done their capstone? Probably start shooting earlier. I think if I could redo it, I would have shot even a couple things back in December before I came back from winter break. And don't be afraid to ask people, can you do this? Can you do that? There were times when I thought that people wouldn't be available, and then I asked later, and they're like, well, I could have gotten some people for you. So, it's kind of moments like that.
I've kind of already mentioned them before, but again, when you take your screenwriting class, I think it's required, right? You have to take that?
It's an elective.
So yeah, when you take that, if you're going to do a short film, write your script in that class because you just get so much feedback right from that class. It's normally like 10 to 15 students in that class. And you also get feedback from Angie Johnson, which is super nice. And then the second thing I would say is don't lower your standards because you're doing a student film on essentially a college budget. There is, again, networking, talk to people. Yeah. I feel like I could go on and on about advice, but I'll cut myself off there.
Yeah. A lot of things like this too. Yes.
Where did you include the photography? Which scenes? Like the obvious one was in the clock, but where other places did you incorporate?
So yeah, in the beginning that was a photo. It's just we made him move a little bit. Again, that goes off Lage T. Each one is a photo, but the photo still has movement in it. That was done. I think Alec and After Effects, most of those were done, but it still was taken with. Those were all taken with my photography camera, my Nikon, and yeah. And then there was also the couch, the beginning, the clock scene, and then the metal cage when she's. Oh, and the mirror. No, so in the beginning of that scene when she's like looking up at the.
So what did you do when she was looking in the mirror?
That was camera, like cinematography. That was done with the black magic.
Maybe one or two more.
Any advice for keeping up motivation through the whole process? 'Cause it's a very long project.
I think that's why I did something a little more personal. I think
me too.
If I didn't do something personal to me, I would have got sick of it way too fast.
Yeah, I think, given that this is kind of a metaphor for just kind of the stress of COVID and social media that I feel like kind of defined my earlier college years, I felt like, doing something that was like saying goodbye to college in a way would be like, well, you have to finish it now, so that, yeah.
One more question? Is there a thesis statement for each? Like a
thesis
concise thing we
statement?
should believe or take from the work?
Don't ignore your friends and family. Don't get too sucked into social media, which kind of speaks for itself, but.
Yeah, I think mine's definitely that dedication in the beginning, which kind of goes off how when you read a book, there's a dedication to someone. I think my thesis would be the dedication I had in my film in the beginning.
Yeah, we kind of
about growing from your past self, whether it's literally you today going on to tomorrow or.
I kind of got similar themes.
Thank you both very much. Thank you everyone for coming.